April 14th, and I'm going to call the meeting for the policy subcommittee to order at 3:02. We are waiting for Joanna and Karen. Second item on the agenda is agenda review, and you had something, Jessica?
Yeah, I'd like to add the tobacco policy to the agenda, and then I invited Amy Brewer to join us. She's the head of the Franklin Grand Isle Tobacco Coalition.
Hey, Amy.
Perfect. Hi, Amy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know, Mary Ann, if you're on social media, doesn't have to stay the whole time. I know
Yeah.
Probably right now, but maybe you want to record her, so.
Yep.
So you don't have to stay here the whole time, Amy, and
You have things to do.
I'm sure you got plenty to do.
We just added Amy Brewer and the tobacco policy on the agenda.
Thank you.
And we will take care of that.
Wait, I'm on the agenda as well. Are we too late?
No,
Okay, it's yours. Mine is, the section 504 and ADA grievance protocol for staff and students.
Yep. We can do that. Did you get that, Aaron? All right. Hey, Jess, would you like to introduce?
Sure. So this is Amy Brewer. She is the head of the Franklin Grand Isle Tobacco Coalition and does a lot of policy changes or advocating for policy changes and is in our schools constantly talking to kids about vaping and cannabis and tobacco and your brain and all of those things. So I cheated on my assignment and had her look at the policy and give her suggestions. And she pulled up our existing one, and what's in red is what she suggested. She also had procedural suggestions, but I figured I could just email those to Bill and Aaron, since you set that procedures, right?
Yeah, we set the procedures, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is just a policy.
Sorry, I'm reading Amy's edits as.
Yeah, so the red is her suggestions. And this is the first time they're looking at it, Amy, so give you a few minutes. And the big changes are not referring to law enforcement and then adding the, ceremonial uses or ability to possess, not use on campus.
So Amy, because I would come to you and ask this question, because this is the pieces that I see that might be confusion with Vermont state law. I don't know that we can say we can't report for something that's unlawful. Possession of tobacco, I mean, you may know better than I do, because that's why I'm asking you this. If we know if a student has possession, because we're required to report when we know a law is broken as administrators.
I can see how other districts do that. I can tell you that I don't think Franklin Northeast has a referral to law enforcement in there.
Yeah.
So, I will ask around, but,
I can also ask our attorney, but I don't want to go there first.
okay.
I think that's what I'm gonna get.
I mean, that was the whole point behind all the programs.
I understand, we use programs and all that too for kids, but if we say in our policy that administrators aren't to report to law enforcement when something's unlawful, like it's unlawful for someone under 18 to have a possessive tobacco product. So, I'm not saying we're going out of our way and doing it, I'm just, when you're gonna go into policy and state it in policy, I've gotta make sure that.
Well, could you just write as needed? You know, because somebody had like
Yeah.
40 vape pens on
Right,
them, and
I
they were
thought, I read
selling
in here, I
vape
thought,
pens.
yeah, I thought here it said we weren't doing that. And so I would just,
They don't want us to call them every single time somebody
no,
is smoking in the school or using some form of substance.
I mean, the only say as needed is fine. I just don't,
yeah.
I worry that it's the policy that every time.
Yeah.
Well, we said that referrals to law enforcement agencies are made when appropriate, that you have crossed out. So that's kind of that as needed, but.
Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
and your procedure is definitely our procedure in that next line. It says maybe procedure, some students are supported with tobacco cessation activities, that's something that we do right now. With, I think every student, I couldn't tell you that.
Every student caught.
Well, we refer to SAP, I can't tell you that every kid avails themselves of that. And I can't tell you that we do that 100% of the time either. I just don't have that data. And then C on the last page, Amy. Do you know how that and you may not, you don't need to, because again, this would be an attorney question. But I'm pretty sure there's a federal law that I sign off of that we follow that has tobacco and drug-free school spaces. So someone over 18 with possession of tobacco would be in violation of that.
Well, I'm not looking at what you're looking at, so I'm not sure exactly what's.
It said should not be a violation of this policy for non-students 18 years and older to use or possess a product that has been approved by U.S. Food and Drugs Administration sale as tobacco cessation product. Okay, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, that's patches, gum, or lozenges, those kinds of, yeah, that's all that is.
Okay,
Oh,
sorry, I read that wrong.
It's okay. It's hard to read on the fly and have a conversation about it at the same time.
No, that, as long as someone has a prescription for it or medically told to do it, they should be fine with that.
What about students who are using cessation, nicotine gum or whatnot? Are they able to bring it to the nurse's office and have it dispensed to them?
In our
Are we
school,
doing that
yeah, if you have a, no
Sure.
telling you that from a medical provider, get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I know we have kids.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, I was reading 9, and for some reason I missed it, sensation, I was reading way too fast. Just because we are dealing with, we have some neighbors that are close to our schools that like to use our space as a place to take a walk. Use a tobacco product.
Oh, and parents and staff.
I just have one comment. The definitions go 1 through 5, and then number 6 looks like policy, the new added part. It doesn't look like a definition, that looks like it should be in the policy section.
Yeah, maybe I put that in the wrong spot. The possessing ceremonial or sacred tobacco.
Yeah, my recommendation is that you put in there. I'm happy for you to put it wherever it seems appropriate, but I wanted to make sure to carve out so that students could possess that as needed.
there anything else? No? Thank you, Amy.
Thanks for letting me join.
No, thanks for the help.
Very glad you were able to join us. Okay, so do we want to,
That's a good clarifying question. I was wondering the exact same thing. Is this going to fall under the student alcohol and drugs policy, or is this going to be its own standalone policy?
I remember we talked about last time, I think it had to be separate.
Okay, I just did separate.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just checking.
Did Amy go? Amy?
I can text her back.
I'm still here.
I'm curious, because right now, currently, it's not its own policy, correct?
It's under B07.
Remember I asked you whether or not it needed to be the same or a standalone,
Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry.
standalone?
Yeah, I do believe they have to be separate, although I don't understand why. They should be pretty close to similar since the products have the similar legal and impact. But yeah, I think they have to be separate.
So joint legal from the state and Vermont State Boards work together to say like what can be together and what needs to be separate. Like we're on a totally different set of policies. Aaron and I are trying to pull out something they've changed their stance on that doesn't seem right, like they should be separate. There's weapons and firearms, like why some people said like that should be together, sometimes they should be separate. BSBA just changed their recommendation, so usually we go by their catalog because there's a reason behind it. I tell you what the reason is, and I can't tell you. There's some legal aspect.
well, it's also funding,
There's that too.
they're totally separate funding. Funding is totally separate.
So do we bring this back as a, Aaron, do we bring this back as a policy format? Yeah. Okay. To the committee? To the
To
committee.
the committee, and then we'll go from there. All right, moving on, continuing in old business. Jess, C2?
We'll work on this one, tell you the truth. This was one we looked at last time, right?
Yep.
What did I say I was gonna do? Sorry, I thought it was set. Were we just bringing it back for a second read, or?
Yeah, because you had already made.
You had made some changes. Do you remember, Aaron, did you do some editing on this?
I did not.
You did not, okay.
Okay.
Let me pull up a minute.
We were bringing it back.
All the ones with the red, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't on here, so I didn't end up doing it. We had said to do it, but it's not on, we didn't put it on the agenda.
I didn't bring I forgot my bag, so I don't have
Aaron's looking through what we
That's
said
okay.
last time.
I had it in my notes, but it
Yeah.
wasn't on the agenda, so I just didn't bother doing it. Weapons, I think it's,
Did we just bring it back because we wanted to make sure we can combine with tobacco?
That might have been, we were asking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the question was whether it could be combined.
okay, so, yeah, so they'll have to be separate. And I forgot my bag completely, so I don't remember what edits I made last time. But if you don't have that, I know where I have it saved.
The track changes thing,
Yeah,
I don't have it with me.
okay. I can just make a note to email that to you.
was it about education?
I don't know. But I think there were changes we talked about, and we're like, that looks good, unless we combine it with tobacco.
Okay. But the wellness wouldn't be combined with tobacco.
No.
Just the drug and
The
alcohol.
alcohol line, yeah.
Yeah. We are talking about wellness, right?
No,
No,
not about the
student
alcohol.
alcohol.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about,
Student
the next
alcohol
one is-
drugs.
oh, okay. It's after that. Pardon me. I'm all confused. That's what happens when you're, yeah, late.
All right, so we're gonna bring that,
So the minutes show, the committee decided to review the tobacco policy before moving forward with presenting the revisions to the board for approval.
So it sounded like
Okay.
we were trying to bring both of them together.
Yeah, before that, you were discussing whether it could be two separate policies, but they cannot. So,
All right, I'll go back and look if I had made edits and send them to you.
and then I'm ready.
Yeah.
I do remember that we were also, we did talk about the over-the-counter drugs.
I remember you talking
Bill,
about
there was
that too,
something
yeah.
that we did to get maybe fixed or checked because of that.
What I remember of the conversation, Joanne, was, you might have done it somewhere else too, about using over-counter drugs
So
appropriately.
also in the minutes, it says, the committee agreed that the term misuse should remain in the MRUSD policy as it sufficiently covers, concerns of the prescription.
Perfect, okay.
Thank you, Aaron. It's on top of everything, it's normal.
all right. So we'll save that for next meeting and moving it on to the board. Yes.
Yeah, so the wellness one, Erin gave us a nicer copy with all the redlining and edits in there. I mean, I think it looks good. I know it's hefty and lengthy. And I guess, a big question would be, are the schools capable at this time of meeting all these requirements?
Can you remind me, the red is the addition?
Yes.
Yes. And some of the language is not totally new, that's red, I just had like recombined it with stuff that's later on in the policy, just to group it together.
The line 40 and 41 on page 3, more 40, not the clean and safe. But provide adequate space for eating and serving school meals. There could be an argument, especially at BFA, that we don't have adequate space. And that could be quite an expense for the district if we had to go do that.
So we provide clean and safe.
Well, we run 4 lunches, but they are packed.
Yeah.
And I would have a hard time with a straight face saying that it was adequate for the number of kids we put in the cafeteria. Is it safe? Is it clean? Yes. Is it crowded? Yes. Do we have kids that want to eat in alternative spaces because of the crowdedness? Yes. Can we afford to build a new cafeteria?
No.
That's a lot of millions.
Do they run into issues, I'm not saying
Yeah.
Fairfield, but the 2 larger elementary schools, do they run into issues in terms of when the kids have actually gone through the line and then having enough time to be able to eat?
They do, but not as much as at BFA.
Oh, BFA's even,
It's worse.
okay, because the space is smaller or because they're coming from all different locations?
All of the above.
Okay, they're coming from,
They've got multiple lines going.
Yeah.
And they have 22 minutes. You can't, they try to rejigger that schedule enough time. It's tough.
Yeah.
And that's something, there have been before the renovation that we did to get the connector before that had a way of getting a better cafeteria space, but that couldn't be supported. So, we're where we are.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody that would argue BFA needs a I think everyone would argue, I said in the positive, everyone would argue, I think, that PFA needs a better cafeteria, it's the cost. It really is, it's just,
So does that mean that at least 25 minutes to eat lunch is not actually a reality? You said
it's not,
22.
it's 22.
Do we, that was not a change, that was?
We have not been able to change that and to get PFA to meet everything it needs to do.
So does that mean that the policy should reflect that? Is that, how would that work?
Well, I'm just responding to what Jess said, where the issues,
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you're mediating this, so I'm letting you know the operational pieces that I know.
right, okay, no, I'm just curious, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our policy should probably reflect what's realistic, because otherwise people will be like, says 25 minutes, why does my kid have to rush through lunch? I mean, it's the ideal, but the ideal. We all would love to see all these things in place, but
22 minutes to get in line, go through and eat.
And some of them can do it, you know.
Most of them can do it,
Well, yeah,
most of them can do it.
and some of them are also going other places
Yeah.
before they get to the cafeteria.
Yeah,
I mean, just,
yeah.
yeah.
No, that's, there's a little bit of that reality too.
Somebody's first and somebody's last.
and you could make it just at least 20 minutes to eat lunch. Because those numbers aren't actually in the state guidelines, that was just a national best practice.
Yeah.
I've never heard of 25.
Yeah.
It's usually 20. So 22 is actually pretty good.
So do we want 20 or 22?
The 25 is done everywhere else, so.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Just in high school?
just in high school it's a 22, yeah. We have some that go to 25 or 30 for lunch.
Oh, we can keep it 22, that's realistic.
From what I know, I mean, I can be wrong, but I try not
I
to.
worked out for 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
They were letting them out at 15 if they were
Oh,
done.
I'm not saying that they don't get, yeah, that happens. I'm not saying that recess doesn't push it, but.
On the other thing, like F on that same page, 10 or more evidence-based healthy food promotion techniques using smarter lunchroom techniques. When we wrote this, the Abbey was doing that. I don't know if they still are. I actually don't have a list of what the smarter lunchroom techniques are in front of
While
me.
I'm reading down through those, I can probably say I've observed that most of the time. Have I gone out to audit it? No. But, I mean,
Depends on the school.
yeah, it depends, it does have some. The one that's most important to the leadership team is C, prohibit the use of food in district schools as reward or punishment. Like, we're really trying to, and believe me, that's.
Yeah, but the Abbey's fine.
The Abbey's not doing that, no, that's other places.
Ice cream party, the celebration.
And then the celebration's the other one. My principals, the principals will keep asking, please make sure we keep that. For celebration.
Jess, is there something in here, I'm looking, that talks about those food committee meetings?
Yes. Well, there's a wellness committee meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was at the end.
It's on page 9.
On 9? Okay, yep, on M.
Yeah, convene a local wellness team, parents, students, food service, PE, health.
Okay.
Which, I mean, when I first read it, I was like, a committee, it's so hard to get a committee together, but then I thought about this committee, and we had, there are people who wanted to join, clearly. So I think there could be people who are interested in being on the wellness committee.
I think there's absolutely people who
there's a lot of people.
want to do it, yeah.
Yeah, and we had a pretty hefty committee at the time when we wrote this. but it is one more committee for Bill.
Well, it's not gonna
No,
be, I mean, when I first came, Jess, that's how I met you, is Kevin looked at me and goes, you're gonna support that committee. That's when I first met you.
No, these are just like, I mean, you can have, literally have somebody from the cafeteria, you could have an interested parent, an interested teacher, you could have a couple kids, and
Yeah.
that's good enough.
Yeah.
And the principal.
I love it, I'd love to keep going, if we start it back up.
Just say once a month.
Quarterly.
Yeah, you should, yeah, once a month might be, does it say that in there?
Yeah.
Oh, on M it says quarterly.
Oh, in L it says,
That's interesting.
Oh,
What's the
weird.
difference
Can
here?
we go, can we move it to quarterly?
Oh, I see what it is, the
district
the
staff.
staff.
Oh, the district staff.
Yeah, there was, I don't know if you guys still have that. There was-
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
VHI.
Yeah, they meet.
Yeah.
I would say they might meet, do you know if they meet quarterly now with their names?
I'm not sure.
Like district that they, yeah,
We can check with Bree.
we can check with Bree on that, yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's not the wellness committee.
It's a wellness for, it's a staff
It's a
wellness.
district-
Right. I mean, we got involved with the food committee meetings. It was really a meeting with the Abbey quarterly about the menus, what was being offered, options.
Yeah, that was like a different committee though.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
because city school used to have that.
Yeah.
We would.
That was part of the farm to school program.
Yeah, which I don't know, I'm not in my grade schools anymore, I don't know who's doing farm to school.
Well, no one knew,
Oh,
I'm pretty sure. No one. But like Rachel's doing something, so I don't know. There's something that happened, I think, from the hospital,
There are things going on,
but no longer that grant was,
yeah,
because it was cut.
So the difference between the district-wide staff and the district wellness policy is the staff is the,
so there's a staff,
Good point.
well, there's a, through, as Joanna was saying, through VI, which is Environment
Yeah.
Insurance, that promotes wellness, and that happens, and that's at L, so I just wanna ask if that's quarterly or monthly. I don't think they get together every month. I'd say probably once every 2 months, maybe once, but quarterly would be a better way to say it there.
yeah.
And then we said quarterly for the district wellness committee, which is not just staff, it's kids, it's all, it's
Okay,
more, there's more to
parents,
work with this
teachers.
policy, monitor policy.
So is. Yeah, I'm sorry.
so is there a report now that's going to the board?
No,
I have a question around district fundraisers. I don't know what they are. I totally support them meeting this standard, but are there some that have been long-standing that would create any sort of, I don't know what district fundraisers happen. Are there typical ones that have happened every year that wouldn't be able to meet the USDA Smart Snack Nutrition standards?
so if you think of the traditional bake sale in a school, a lot of that's gone away with
Okay.
school.
I wasn't sure if there were any, like, you know,
Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not
So
sure.
there
We
are-
do a popcorn
Right.
fundraiser
So-
in Georgia, right?
Right.
Like,
So
so
there-
I just didn't know if there were
So there
other
were-
easier to make over.
CTEC had a pizza
Okay.
fundraiser that, I don't know if that's still alive, I haven't seen it for a couple of years.
Okay, so there isn't anything that's typically happened that would be sort of.
Would the after-school program?
I
Like,
don't know.
Like, Little Caesars?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was Caesar's one, yeah, that went away, there was, but I don't think, I'm gonna, first off by saying, I don't know that I have all the information.
I'm
But
just
it's a good question, Karen,
gonna be a little sensitive if there were things that were long-standing that might create an issue, but it doesn't sound like they're.
I think they're going, it's one of those things of like you work on it. And when they happen, you try to have conversation. It's like this. Susie comes in, or Billy comes in with 20 cupcakes for their class. Not supposed to do that.
Right.
Do you say to the kid and take the
Right,
cupcakes away? No,
exactly.
you say to the parent, can you not do that next time? And
Exactly.
does that parent violate it again? Yep. You tell them there's a policy. Do we sit there and throw out the cupcakes in front of the kid? No.
Right, exactly.
So it's like you kind of have to work with it. We try to keep doing it in positive education.
Has there ever been any conversation, and we don't need to get into it, I was just asking, about the high school in terms of, sports and then physical education? I know in some schools that they allow that to happen, and some schools they don't. Has that ever been a conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's been a lot of conversation.
But, we'll go. I mean, would that not be part of like flexible pathways or, you know what I mean? First,
That's who you talk to.
okay,
Page 6B, I mean, it says exemptions is allowed but discouraged. So it sounds like there's
oh, okay.
a place for exceptions, but.
Because I have heard about it happening over the years for like students that want to take X amount of AP classes
This
or.
guy's daughter
Oh, okay,
did LRP different way.
different way. Okay.
She had to show her health, so that's paper, criteria and C. So she had to prove that.
Okay,
The other thing on page 6G, individual fitness and activity assessments, I feel like that doesn't happen anymore. Or is that just their grade they're getting?
they happen in
It
K
happens.
grade.
It happens because of state requirements.
Oh, okay.
For PE. I don't know if it's, I think it's still there.
It's just K through 8, I don't know, but does it happen in high school too?
No, I don't think it's high school.
But definitely K through 8. They do the PACE test and.
Yeah, it's all part of fitness training.
Okay.
So we should change that to 8.
I don't know, I would just leave it as pre-K through 12.
Okay.
It'll be done where it's required by the state. It's all state driven. PE exams. It says fitness grammar or other appropriate assessments. I know there's assessments being done in high school PE. I watched them be done. You know, a lot of it's on what's your lifelong skills.
Oh, like the personal.
I think I write it, you know,
Sure.
PE writes test, bigger test.
The H on page 7, is that like the walk to school program involving the community members?
Yeah, or they used to, like I know State Tech, when my kids were young, they'd have like a family Zumba night or, you know, different activities. A lot of that's kind of gone away.
What about the health, fundraisers? Remember when they were doing like
Jump rope or
Jump Rope for Heart or American, like is that?
I just see it as a may, so if you could leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a may, it's not a should, cross out the should.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think we should, so we have to community engagement.
Yeah, there were just some that were a little suspect in terms of how they
Oh, yeah,
would get.
fundraise and get like something that would break.
Well, no, not just that, but like,
Doing a dance marathon
That'd be fun.
for 48 hours.
yeah, I mean, that would be,
That was,
getting them moving is great, but some of these just become.
So the biggest question I think was on page 9, after we talked about L, about whether that's a month or a quarter, that's where I wrote down to myself.
The thing I don't see on here is more of like health education.
It's, under, on page 8. And that's basically taken away from the quality standards.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which is where most, I mean, that's where our health curriculum comes from, it's right from the quality standards, which reference the national standards for all kids.
And this is this incorporating our social emotional education as well?
I want to
Or is
look at,
that
so
separate?
let me just say this, there's new EQS coming, that go into effect on the July 1st of this year, which will have some new pieces to it. And I don't remember, if SEL is included in there, it may be, I just would have to go look at that.
Okay. I didn't know if that would be like a separate policy or not, or if we just keep it with this.
I don't even know if it's a separate policy as we have in curriculum, an SEL curriculum.
Or, I mean, would it be part of would it be part of the equity policy? Would it be, you know what I mean?
So SEL, I think under those, I'm looking at Karen kind of, I think the SEL stayed in there as a curriculum under, just like math and literacy and in the new EQS version.
Yeah, I do think that the SEL stuff is under the, yeah,
And there's a whole new requirement for equity policies in every district that's gonna go into effect July 1.
So it will be not here.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things this is my personal or my professional bias. If we have something in rules or law, that I'm not sure we really need it in policy unless we're doing something that's allowable to either make it more stringent or less stringent. And the board has that ability to do that. Because as we think about it, regulation in the state of Vermont has the power of law, the way Vermont Title 16 is. And so then if it's called for in law or regulation, this is, and again, this is my bias, some districts do it other ways, is that why write policies for it? It's there. It's already in regulation and law. We could go, I could name a district, and this is no disparagement. Colchester has a lot of policies. Some of those policies just restate regulation.
Well, but I guess part of the problem that I have seen, I guess, is that not all schools follow the laws, right? So, you know, there are a multitude of mandated curriculums within those laws that are not in all schools.
So I would agree that sometimes I would hope everyone that sits in my position signing on that we follow all laws and regulations. Doesn't always happen.
Are all the schools offering safety in all grades?
And offering what?
Like safety and care for kids and we care?
I think as best we can with what we have. And I'm not sure what you mean by safety.
It's a curriculum, they're all together.
Right, yeah, I don't think that those are in the regulation.
They were.
And then
They were the only.
No, in the previous ones, it just had the
Not in the
proficiencies.
EQSs, but they were the only curriculum, best practice curriculum, that child abuse was.
So that's something different than what's in the regulation. The regulation says we just have to provide education on child abuse to teachers.
Correct. And then the schools determine the curriculum, right? So it's like with any math or literacy.
It's same with like required trainings, like we have to provide training to every teacher on, and teacher about, and students about, I don't even think it says about students, I think it says about, for teachers, on what used to be called Act 1.
Right.
And now that's changed to just about child protections.
When did that happen?
Oh, about 6-7 years ago.
6 or 7 years ago, you haven't had to do Act 1 education in the schools?
Not a specific
So maybe a
program.
supervisory union might,
Like we have to
Make sure it
update
happens,
them,
but
we have
it's
to
not.
ensure that employees know, and they know their reporting
Yeah.
rights, and they know how to spot child abuse or drug abuse. Yes, but it doesn't say you have to do this type of program. That got pulled back.
That got pulled back. Interesting. And the child abuse, so Act One was the child abuse.
It was the next version of it, there was one that was before, it used to be called Act 52.
Well, Act 51 was the
Or Act
drug,
51.
was the drug and
It was
alcohol.
the drug and alcohol. There was another one that was there, but Act One really came in and said, okay, here's what you need to do, and then Act pulled back, I believe.
Interesting, all these different interpretations, because that was definitely not the impression I was under. I was handed things to do because
Yeah.
we were supposed to do them.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why, and then that gets, we're getting back into why you have policies, because you may have one policy that said, hey, if you have to provide a curriculum, and the district said, hey, we are doing this one. And the policy says, this is what we do, then everyone gets 2 hours of training in X, Y, Z.
All right.
All right, so we will make the necessary changes.
Yeah, I just need to check on that quarterly, do you want me to bring that back next time, or do you want me to just adjust that based on what I hear from talking to the group?
I think we can quarterly is fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think we can
okay, just make it
change
quarterly.
that.
Yeah, that way.
Then we'll bring it before.
If they're meeting more, great.
Do we want to bring this back to the committee before going to the board with the revisions?
We're just gonna,
Okay, going to the board.
change
You guys are.
change that word and move on. All right, new business. Student instruction policy review, C21, search and seizure bill.
I apologize for sloppy handwriting.
It's fine, it's sloppy.
I use the computer all day long, so it feels like it turns into chicken scratch. So there's not a lot I would recommend changing here. There's a highlight that I put on the VSBA. There's one sentence in there that I would suggest adding to that top paragraph, just about students not having an expectation of privacy based on school and property. Then towards the bottom, I put in brackets a paragraph that I feel should be moved up to the student search and seizure of student property section, because it talks about the search of student property in that bottom section, it just seems out of place. I don't think I would change anything in that language. I put a little arrow towards the last sentence or so, and I would say putting a new heading in there about probably titling it, I don't know, distribution policy, because it's not actually about failure to comply, which you might think if you just look at the heading that it falls under. So those are all fairly basic suggested changes. One thing reading the policy I did know, and is the VSBA recommendation, is that this is a search and seizure policy, but it doesn't really have any mention of seizure or how that occurs. I don't think I would go too far, but I would suggest adding maybe into the student search and seizure section that if the search reveals evidence of a violation of law or school rules, that evidence may be seized. Because at this point, it doesn't mention when or what the applicable procedure would be, or not so much procedure, but for what reason something could be seized. So I think.
You said that really well, did you write it? Did you have it on that little piece of paper? 'Cause you-
I did.
Oh, perfect.
Piece of paper.
Would you put that in the policy, or would you put that in the procedure?
I put it in the procedure that if you limit it as may, you're not required to do it, but if you discover something that's in violation of law
Yeah.
or school rules, I think that should be within the policy that there's,
In the policy.
yeah. procedure could probably get, that's probably get down into the, more examples or, when something might be appropriate to seize or not seize. I think last time, in one of these meetings, we were talking about a box cutter from a kid who's, has a job after school, and that's probably not appropriate to seize his box cutter that he needs for work at 4 o'clock. But that would be something I think would be dealt with in a procedure portion of it.
Yeah.
But within the policy, that would just give you a little bit of the teeth, I guess, to actually enforce a seizure if you find something in violation of law or school rule.
Yeah, I like that sentence.
That's all that I had. This was a pretty straightforward, I think.
Looks really good.
Right.
So they don't have anything like that though in the model policy, huh? That
No.
talks about the seizure?
It seemed odd to me that it's a search and seizure policy without any actual mention of whether seizure is appropriate or not.
Yeah. I think it's a great ad.
So do we
It's
wanna,
my notepad.
Can I have that?
Yeah.
do we wanna bring that back for review?
Do you want to
Or do we?
I hope you can read it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I can check, I think it'll be okay, but I will check. We usually send anything that has some substantive change to the school attorneys, just to make sure we're not doing something. But, yeah. Well, there's some
No,
opaque
yeah.
things that, like, really?
So we will bring this back with your changes or your additions.
If you're good with it, yeah, we can bring it back.
For further discussion, or I'm curious what we bring back for. Unless,
Well, I like your additions, so if we can just move it on to after it's
I'm
added.
gonna check with someone to see if that.
I'm gonna check with the attorney on that statement, but I don't think there's gonna be a huge share. If there is a
Yeah.
problem, I'll bring it back here. How about that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, but if not, we just do have some reformat, so it shouldn't be hard. But besides that statement, I don't know if there's a reason why that statement wouldn't, but sometimes it was left that way for a reason.
Yeah, I consider that could be purposely
Yeah.
left out.
On our procedures, do we have like the policies that are associated with it, down below, so people can go and reference something if they were, I mean more like a teacher or administrator?
So one of the things we don't have a good job in this district that we're starting to, we're trying to build right now is procedures that just go to the principals themselves for operations. We do not, one of the capacity problems we have is we do things and we don't have the time built in to say, all right, now sit down and document that. So a lot isn't getting documented. And it's one of the things, actually, one of our new principals brought up, like, I came from another district, where is this? Like, you should have this. And I'm like, yeah, we don't. It's a definite weak spot for us.
I just know that sometimes in the heat of a moment, right, you've got a procedure, but, maybe you're not thinking clearly
Right,
about
so-
all the different places that you should kind of cross-reference there, right? If you're thinking about search and seizure, makes you think about firearms, makes you think about weapons, just making sure you've got.
So some of the big fees we do, but not as much as I would like. I haven't been able to find the time to get that done. And it's not just me, I'm talking about anyone that sits on the leadership team of the team, having the time to sit there.
I wonder that when we're finished this part, if maybe that's something that we could be helpful with,
Yeah, let me think about that.
if it would be helpful.
Yep.
Because it's, we can sit here and go through these, and then you take this and you put it into a situation, and all of those what ifs come about, right? And then the what ifs don't fit the policy sometimes, and so you're still stuck, like, ooh, I don't know if this really, answers the question that I need answered.
We have a lot of that.
Yeah, it's life. It's hard to prepare for everything, right?
All right, The proficiency-based graduation requirements, I don't have anything for you, but, read, but you have the copy of the VSBA policy and ours currently needs redoing. And it, I really liked the proficiency-based, the School Board Association one. It does articulate our policy, our commitment to our priority of academics as a top priority of our community and our kids. It lays out clear expectations and it has role accountabilities. It's holding everyone accountable. It's fairly cut and dry. It has a timeline on it. For procedures, I don't know if those would still work on page 2.
Well, if the first person that came to mind that needs to be in this discussion is May, because Polly Rico from the high school, because we think about graduation. But then I would want to take this to all the principals and probably the whole leadership team along with John / Megan when she gets here, and just say, I actually think a lot of this is what the work we're doing. I don't think there's much wrong here, but when I looked over and looked at the administrative procedure, I'm like, that one we got to check and ask, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think the reason that this, well, obviously it references the 2014, obviously EQS, but that all of this is outlined in the EQS, so either the policy could be more detailed or it could be as simple as outlined in the educational quality standards adopted in July of 20.
I know that if a parent or a
Yes.
community member would much rather see this played out than having to go and find that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I did make a note to myself because I highly suspect, and I don't know off the top, I keep looking at my bag because I'm like, oh, didn't I bring my educational quality standards binder? But that this will be, there's a lot about flexible pathways in there and other proficiency-based graduation requirements. I don't think there's like huge shifts, but this one just makes me wonder what the new EQS, how that will impact this. There's a few on here that I'm like, I know they're not adopted to July 1. It seems like in a funny place right now with just a couple of months that there might be places in these policies that would need some tweaks from that again as of July 1. And it just makes me wonder about them. Obviously, the VPA will come out with a new model policy upon adoption, but there's a few places that we would need to reconsider a few things once that happens.
Yeah.
So can we also, just in our practice, hold on maybe some of the ones that you're concerned about?
Yeah.
So we don't have to go through this.
That's what I'm wondering.
Well, that's what I wrote myself a note, so I would.
Yeah, I wrote that on here too.
I'm writing Polly, I'm writing principals, which is redundant there, but then I'm also writing
John and
assistant.
There's a bunch about personalized learning plans and the new EQS.
That was what I was.
There's a lot in there actually that I was like, oh, all right. It's not new, but there are definitely places where it's tweaked and, it's just some wonders for the team.
And, Bill, when you say we have to get, Polly in here, I get it because Polly's the end of the line, right?
Right.
But, almost, if you want it to go smoothly all throughout, we gotta make sure that it's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why then I caught myself and said all.
Yeah, just because it's usually, to get the height, whatever. PLPs are still a work in progress.
so Bill, if you get that part.
What I was thinking about doing was, what if I brought this, we actually have a place on our leadership team agenda that we're talking about, administrative work. And so I want to bring this and then say, have everyone look at this and do what Karen said,
Yeah.
EQS. Because when I look at this, I know, because I know the number 7, this is the old curriculum director in me, was the number prior to 2016 was the number of standards in Vermont, standard curricular areas. And so it counts to 7 up top in the policy. But if there's something new with EQS, I know, I'm pretty sure a lot of the SEL stuff is being subsumed under transferable skills.
Yeah.
So it's not being called out that way. But we can look. So let's take a look, so I can try to get some updates for the May meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy to go through and just mark ones that I know. I'm just taking an
Yeah.
work, like
Yeah.
workshop series right now, so if I know any places that I'm happy to just.
That'd be great. Yep. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, so B3 is the responsible computer and network and internet use policy, and our current policy is pretty much a copycat of the SBA's, as far as I could see. I actually like the way ours is written out better than the school board associations. Easier to read. I don't think I have much more. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. This wasn't changed too long ago, was it?
Well, the manual run was 2017.
Yeah, so that would have been
And the-
information.
The SBA one was 2024. I'm just really curious what, is there anything changed in 2024 when they readopted? How do we know that?
I could.
I'm just curious. I know, other than looking at the families, like,
Yeah. We were ahead of our time.
yeah. I'm just wondering if it's around HHB.
There's some differences, like in limitation, disclaimer, liability, there's a sentence missing, I believe. At the end, the duties under the model says the duty imposed on the district by this policy do not operate with the district vicariously or directly responsible for conduct of users or violates quality of management. That's not in the Maple Run policy. The enforcement's rewritten, but I don't see any meaning, intent different.
For enforcement, it's different.
Yeah,
There's no mention of HHB. In ours.
which
We could add that.
happens.
Yes.
Which happens, HHB and technology.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No doubt, primarily for.
We have under our method for addressing the following, whether it's lewd, vulgar, threatening, harassing, discriminatory, bullying, terroristic, obscene, that we need to address that.
Where's that one, Bill?
So I'm looking at ours on the second page, around line 57. Methods are.
Oh, yeah.
We have methods to address those,
Yes.
but they're not spelled out in the policy.
So I like how they cross-reference on here, and one of the wonders that I have now, as soon as we're talking about policies and procedures and making them easily accessible to people, is I haven't been noting whether the cross-references
Yeah,
are the same, like this one cross-references student conduct and discipline, and they also add prevention of,
Yep.
you know, and I was like, oh, that would be really good, like, to make sure our cross-references.
yeah.
Just for myself, a mental note, but saying it out loud, I don't know if anyone else noticed their cross-references, but I was like, oh, that's really helpful.
We have student conduct in this one, but we don't have the HHP.
Yeah,
That's what I meant, I was
yeah,
speaking before,
Okay,
was,
that would be
I
good.
didn't use that word cross-references.
Yeah, I was like,
So I may not have gotten my point across clearly.
I was thinking
it's a
that
great
we
way to
have
be
that,
helpful, yeah.
say it in the procedural piece where it says
Yeah.
administration.
Procedure or policy or both, you know, just to cue people where to go, you know? Just for information.
And that was really helpful, and I didn't notice that, I was like, that's helpful.
Let's see that in.
What are SIPA certifications?
It's the Child Information Protection Act. Saying that we're protecting kids to the best of our ability on electronic means. Basically, we have that filtering, but there is no perfect filter in the world for the internet.
Unfortunately, we need the internet. So we, just so I'm clear, we're gonna add
The cross-reference
The
at the
cross-reference
end
at
was
the end.
what Karen was asking about. And Joanna was asking about the cross-reference that HHP policy, which is a good one.
yeah, we just did that, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's funny, you go back and forth, right? Like if you're looking at the administrative responsibilities. So for number 2, we're less specific, and then on number 3, we're more specific. It's like the opposite of the model policy. But it's all in there, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just different, the sequence is different, that's all.
Okay, but that's what it is.
I think that's what.
Procedures.
I just feel like wherever we can use model policy, just use model policy.
They're good.
They're a little more concise.
Vetted by their attorney.
Yes.
That's not their favorite.
Right?
All right,
What would you like us to do? Just
So-
run a cross-reference?
add that cross-reference, and if everyone's okay with it, we can move it along.
Okay.
Title I, Joanna.
Yes. So I was, a little confused because when I pulled out, well, I guess I pulled out comparability, that's what I looked at. At home. So I guess I just saw it implemented. So the comparability policy is super short, just in terms of what the formula is, how they do it, right? And then there is a section on our DL4P that, implements
The comparability.
the
Yeah.
comparability.
We get that through the title grants.
Mhm.
They tell us how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be pretty comprehensive. It was a little bit out of my realm of knowledge. I just looked at it and seemed to answer all the questions that were being asked. So, I didn't see any gaps.
And then, Joanna made a point that we didn't get one of the policies that she was gonna look at on the agenda.
So, I didn't do it.
Which one was that?
It was, I think it was weapons.
C-51.
Yeah, because I did firearms last time, so I think it was weapons.
So if we could bring that up next.
Next time, yeah. That was one of the ones we were trying to do some tracking with the SBA as well.
So I guess the only question that I would have about the Title I comparability is just, do you want to have on there the administrative responsibilities? It's the only thing that would be different. We don't have that in ours. So on the model policy, it's just administrative responsibilities and just kind of.
Oh, yeah, just not.
We don't have the title.
We just not have the title, we have the second paragraph.
Oh, that's right, yeah. All right, just not delineated, okay. So maybe we could add that.
Yeah.
I'll just give it to you.
All right. G5, Jessica.
All right, animal dissection. I am recommending that we go with the model policy. It has pretty much the same language as our current policy. It just is like cleaner and I like the format of it better. Some of these, like the alternate, on our policy, alternative education method, discrimination, that's all the policy. And then I don't think the word procedure should really be in policy, and instead it's administrative responsibilities in the model.
Yeah, it gets confusing.
Yeah, so I like the model one, that's my recommendation.
I love dissecting sharks. I think we don't do that anymore.
Much is done virtually. Oh, there's some dissection.
All right. So with that strikeout, we'll just bring it forward. B is student club policies, and I don't know who was.
I'm gonna head out here in a minute or so. I'm curious of the student policies, but I think this was new. I wasn't here, but,
You would ask for that to come on.
student clubs policy, is there a takeaway for this?
Well, you're the chair, you make the agenda. Back and forth, so you're the one who asked for it,
It's actually not what I was, yes, this is.
Yeah, and I just gave what we do here
Yeah.
at all the schools, so. I
Um,
gave you from BFA, but this is.
Do we have a policy or just a procedure? Like, I just see
This is a
these
procedure.
two things.
So we have, what happens is there's every year the board adopts the co-curricular guidelines, which in there explains how clubs are.
Okay.
It's a very short paragraph, that's at the beginning of it, but then I brought some of how that actually happens. I asked Paul at BFA what it happens at other schools.
okay, so on this page, on the BFA club.
Yeah.
That club that I brought up, that was discussed in the last board meeting.
Yeah.
fellowship of Christian athletes.
Right,
Should that be added somewhere around here? Or?
That's not a school-sponsored club.
No, so it's not that, but.
It's not that, so it's not a school-sponsored club. These are school-sponsored.
But it is allowed in the school.
So what's allowed in a school is different than what's school-sponsored, because the board has chosen to allow public to use our school space.
Right.
So since we do that, we have no delineation on who we allow to do, as long as they meet the policy and procedures that the school is used for space. And then, so this is about school-sponsored. I believe it's about the student athletics clubs and activities is about school-sponsored events.
So this proposal, those are the only things required to start a club sponsored by the school. I didn't know, because thinking about the board meeting, I didn't know if there was, like, are religious clubs allowed to be school sponsored?
So if you go to federal law, you are not allowed to sponsor from the school. We can give space for it. We can't sponsor any religious club. So
They can have
but we can't ask a staff member to staff a religious club.
No, but they're supposed to, right? I mean,
No,
that's part of the.
it's anything that, so if there's a club that's happening, that's using, and it's not school sponsored, let's take the word club out. Let's say there's a group of kids who want to meet and do something, and they need to use school facilities. And they want to use the school facilities. We have procedures for how school facilities are used. As long as that doesn't impact instructional time for the student, and that's fine. If there's adults that want to join them, I'm trying to be really careful with my language here, so we all get confused. If there are adults that want to join them, and they happen to be employed by the district, and it's not impacting their job when they're on the clock for doing something with the school. So for instance, if something happened at, I'm gonna be really facetious here because I don't want to take any possibilities, like at 8 at night, and the person's not employed to be there at 8 at night, they're not doing it on the auspices of their job. So there's nothing there for school personnel, but I mean, I do stuff with clubs that aren't part of my job, but I don't do during the time I need to be here.
Right. So it's not taking away from your district duties.
Yeah.
Now, when you talked about, there's procedures, to be able to utilize space
Right.
at the school.
Yeah.
Is there an adult sign off of that, or?
So I believe there is, I want to go check to be 100%.
I would think there would be, I would not believe that kids can just
Yeah.
meet at school.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of this club, because BFA did the history, and I was told this the 1 year I was up there as principal, so I was trying to establish some others, and Kevin said, now, wait a minute, there's some big budgetary concerns we have, because it used to be in the negotiated contract, that all clubs, and we've gotten it out, that people are paid for supporting clubs that are school sponsored.
School sponsored, yes. And that would be part of their contract.
Right, well, yeah, it's outside, but there's this, yeah. Stipend.
Yep.
Okay.
Just like a coach is for an athlete.
Yeah.
Is there, you said there's a federal regulation, I'm just curious.
So there's federal regulations that if we open up to the public.
Right, I'm just wondering, like, if, say, a group got together and wanted to make that club official and met all these criteria, they still could not because it's.
Because when I look, my interpretation of looking at it starts with a 30, and I can't remember all the numbers from the federal, but there's a really nice FAQ that's up there about prayer in schools. And it does a really good job of delineating that a group of kids can come together for that. As long as it's not impacting their receiving of instruction, they can do it. The employees actually have a restrictor. So if I'm employed to be there from 7:30 to 2:30 or 3, I can't impact that time with helping out that club.
Okay, yeah, I just wanna make sure it's the same
Yeah.
rule for.
Yeah.
everybody.
Do we wanna take next time to just, all of us look at this and make sure we understand?
One of the things I will tell you that's in the VSBA model policy that I have to support my administrators is students being able to develop clubs on their own without a faculty, and that is in this model policy,
Without a faculty member.
without a faculty. We feel for safety that we need a faculty.
Definitely.
So in this model policy, it allows for that, it allows for kids to do it themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
All right, I need to spend more time looking at it.
so please look at it. I could have read it wrong, but when I read it, I was like, oh, that section could be a problem.
Yeah.
Are there other rules around clubs, like if a group of kids got together and wanted to have a club to talk about, like, killing people, or, like something really, but they meet all the rules?
Well,
What are the other
it's got-
exceptions that are,
It's gotta be, it's gotta be approved by the principal.
okay,
So we gotta let the discretion of the principal, that's why we hired them to make that. And the principal has to balance a budgetary need, resources with what there is for offerings.
okay. So there's a veto power in
And Marion, should I put weapons on? Should I do that one for next time?
Yes.
Okay. Unless, Bill, you said you were gonna check to see if there needed to be a distinction between the two?
We're trying to look about the difference between a required and recommended.
Okay.
Aaron's been looking into.
Oh,
we got
right.
Some stuff
Right.
that was a little concerning because I think it actually helps that we have weapons and we have a firearm.
Okay.
It's the idea of like, hey, this thing can be a weapon.
Of course it did, yeah, that makes sense.
And just,
And there's been delays at VSBA personnel.
Okay.
I'm happy to bring the 504 one next time, only because there aren't copies of it. That was the one I did for this time, but we could review it next time. There's nothing that's different, really, in all honesty, but I'm happy to, the section 504 and ADA grievance protocol, I'm happy to just have that. I have it, there's like 2 spots where we just don't, it says add contact info, so there's not really any big changes, but so that way everyone else can see it too. I'm happy to just bring it next time. Okay. If that's okay.
And whatever the bathroom change.
So, no, it shouldn't, there shouldn't be any, and this is just how to file a grievance if you're unhappy. It's just a grievance, yeah. It's, even though it's a protocol, it's technically a policy, so, it's a little bit funky, but just, this is just language from the US Department of Education, I think, essentially, so. And what families should do, but yeah, we can just put it on the agenda for next time. Did you get that, Aaron?
And next thing is going to be.
yes, I couldn't update her.
May 12th?
With Joanne. Joanne, she's like, no, I don't think you got the right date. Like,
May
oh, yeah. May 12th, okay.
Mhm. That might be a tricky one for me. That will be a tricky one for me. My daughter graduates the day before, and I'm helping her move all of her stuff out, so it's a 6-hour ride home. I can't promise you I'll be back here by 3. That's Monday. If people are open to moving it to a different day that week, I'm happy to, I know that could be a nightmare, so,
For me, that's a nightmare.
Okay.
That week is bad.
all right, yeah, yeah.
In a good way. Sorry.
If it went to the 21st,
Yeah, it's vacation. Oh, no, it's not.
The 19th, sorry.
The 19th.
19th April, sorry.
I was looking
Next
there.
one is the 19th.
I could do that.
Does that work?
That works for me.
May 19th?
We had to move one thing, but I think we can move at least that way.
Oh, is that?
It's just a regular schedule.
Then I just won't be there. I mean, I don't need
We
to.
can fix it.
That's easy to fix. Moving
Let's move it.
principal meetings.
All right, so the 19th.
Yeah.
Thank
At
you
that
very
point in the year, they said they.
Gotta get your daughter home.
Well, I just wouldn't be here.
We'll move it to the 19th.
All right. All right, so.
Do we need to pick some for next
Oh,
time?
yes.
I don't know where we left off exactly.
So I had I had a list, tell me if my list is wrong, I had, I wrote C51, which was.
That was the weapons, that was the one.
That's weapons, okay, so I wrote it twice, okay, so then I had 504, IEP, tobacco, were the three from this.
Yep. Do we have others we haven't covered yet?
So the personnel section, the board operations.
We're down to personnel. Oh, okay. Do we want to jump into personnel?
That's where I would go next, when we look at, I'm with you, Bill, let's go next.
Sure,
The yellow ones are.
I can take BO1, substitute teachers.
I can take BO2.
I'll take BO3, or unless you want that.
There's also tobacco.
Tobacco we're bringing.
Well, that's a different, that's for staff.
Yeah.
Which one do you
I'll
want?
take that one, I'll take tobacco.
Okay, I'll take
So
the,
you're taking B7?
Yeah, B7.
I'll take BO3.
Okay, BO5, me.
Do we need to do, AO1?
Looks it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that one.
Great. Okay.
All right, then the other one that I think I see is FO1, general and travel reimbursement,
You know what,
or no?
I would ask that, let's hold up, because I want to get Bree to talk about what she needs for, there are some of these things that are needed for audit. So I think there's a bigger concept there, that we might have Bree meet us for a meeting, join us for a meeting or two.
Sure.
Thanks, Donna. I'm gonna go.
Bye.
5 minutes to the place I need to be.
Meeting is adjourned and can't read that. 4:23. 4:23.